What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to GamerFuzion. Star Wars Zero Company only lets you take 4 operators into a mission. That single constraint shapes the entire game. So today we are building the best squad composition role by role. We will start with the 4 jobs every team has to cover, then we will work through who fills each one. We will also stop at the 2 slots where the guides published since launch flatly disagree with each other, and we will finish with 3 specific squads you can copy straight into your campaign. 1 for the early game and 1 for the middle, then 1 for the point where your operators start doubling up on specializations. Stick around for that last part because it is where all of this lands. Number 1 is the framework everything else hangs off. Post-launch coverage keeps landing on roughly the same shape for a reliable squad. You want 1 dedicated damage dealer. You want 1 control or setup piece who makes everybody else hit harder. You want a frontliner who can absorb what comes back at you. And you want a sustain or vision slot that keeps the other 3 functional. 4 jobs and 4 slots, which is tidier than it sounds. The mistake beginners make is filling all 4 with damage, because damage feels productive. That squad wins the first 2 fights and falls apart the moment something goes wrong. Every slot you spend on setup or sustain pays you back across a whole mission rather than in 1 turn. There is one more thing to factor in. Plenty of missions here are extraction jobs rather than elimination jobs. A squad built purely to kill things is the wrong squad when the objective is to reach a zone and leave. Number 2 is where I would start building, and it is not the damage slot. It is the scout. Advantage is the shared squad pool that powers your strongest abilities without spending action points. The scout is the class that fills that pool. Combat Recon scans a target area and grants a point of advantage for every enemy it picks up. It also reveals concealed enemies while it does it. So a scout is quietly doing 2 jobs at once. It funds everybody else's big abilities, and it tells you what you are walking into. Almost every recommended composition since launch keeps a scout somewhere in it. That is not a coincidence. The scout also owns the best way to spend what it makes. Its ultimate is called Ambush, and the damage scales with how much advantage you pour into it. So the class filling the tank also owns the biggest thing you can buy with it. Build the engine first and then decide what you are spending the fuel on. Number 3 is your dedicated damage dealer, and there are 2 obvious answers. The assault is the aggressive one. It is built to flank, and it gains bonus critical chance against enemies caught out of cover. Bull Rush lets it charge in and knock something backwards on the way. The Gunslinger is the other route entirely. It spreads damage across several targets and refunds an action point when Quick Draw finishes something off. Both have serious ultimates sitting behind them as well. Sweeping Salvo gives the assault a wide cone that damages and disorients everything caught inside it. Open Fire lets the Gunslinger shoot twice at any combination of targets, upgrading to 3 shots later. Which one you take depends on how much risk you want carrying. Assault has to leave cover to earn its bonus, and leaving cover is how operators accumulate wounds. Gunslinger is safer, but it needs kills to start snowballing. If your squad already has a strong front line, take the assault. Whichever you pick, put your best weapon modifications on this operator rather than spreading them evenly. Number 4 is the control slot, and this is the one people underrate. The Scoundrel does not top the damage charts. What it does is make everybody else better. Identify weakness costs a single action point and leaves the target vulnerable. The next attack on that target lands as a critical hit. Easy Mark sets an enemy up so the Scoundrel assists whoever swings next. Its passive then raises assist damage directly. There is another passive worth knowing about too. Scoundrel's Instinct makes all of its attacks penetrate and ignore several points of enemy defense. Against armored targets, that is the difference between chipping away and actually killing. Since launch, the coverage has settled on the Scoundrel as the strongest starting specialization in the game. That matches the number 1 pick in our class's video, which was written before release. In a 4-slot squad, a multiplier simply beats another attacker. Number 5 is the claim you will see repeated everywhere since launch. The best teams keep Assault and Scout and Sharpshooter at their core. We have covered the first 2 already, so let us talk about the Sharpshooter. This is your long-range answer. Precision shot is described as a blaster shot that simply always hits. In a game running on percentage chances, a guaranteed hit on the most dangerous target is enormous. It also owns the best Overwatch in the game. Its passives raise Overwatch accuracy and Overwatch damage specifically. So a Sharpshooter holding an angle is not just waiting around, it is denying the enemy an entire route through the level. There is one more ability worth setting up for. Zero In has the Sharpshooter build lethal stacks that push both hit chance and critical chance upward. Spend a quiet turn stacking that before a hard fight rather than firing into bad odds. That trio covers damage and advantage and area denial between them, which leaves exactly one slot left to argue about. Number 6 is where the guides start disagreeing, and you should know that rather than be handed a fake consensus, some coverage calls the heavy the essential defensive anchor for any squad. The argument is bulwark. That ultimate taunts every enemy in an area and forces them to attack this operator instead. Read that again with Permadeath in mind. An ability that decides who gets shot is an ability that decides who survives. The rest of the kit backs it up too. Unstoppable builds retaliation stacks so incoming attacks get answered automatically. Intimidating posture makes even ordinary blaster attacks taunt the target on hit. So a heavy is not only absorbing damage, it is actively dragging fire away from the operators who cannot survive it. But here is the complication. The most widely shared squad compositions since launch do not include a heavy at all. They lean on killing things faster instead of absorbing hits. My read is that the heavy is the answer when you are losing operators and dead weight when you are not. Number 7 is the same argument with much higher stakes. The medic is the only dedicated healer in the entire game. Combat Stim raises an ally's maximum health and their damage at the same time. Coverage specifically credits it with preventing permanent injuries. That word permanent is the whole case for the slot. Wounds carry between missions, and enough of them ends a character for good. First Responder is quietly the best part of the kit. Your medic carries a med pack permanently without spending a utility slot on it. Life-saving measures then makes every med pack heal for more. The ultimate is morale boost, handing nearby allies stacks that restore health each turn. And yet the popular compositions leave the medic out too. So here is how I would actually decide it. If Permadeath is switched off, you can skip the medic and play fast. If Permadeath is on, then the medic stops being a luxury. Your difficulty settings should pick this slot rather than a tier list. Wounded operators also need to sit missions out, so keep a bench covering the same roles. Number 8 is easy to forget when you are planning on paper. Hawks is one of your 4. He is not a free extra body sitting above the squad. Whatever specialization you gave him is one of your 4 roles already spoken for. So build the other 3 around that choice rather than treating him as neutral. The good news is that he pays rent simply by turning up. His talent is called Fearless Leader. While Hawks is on the field, every operator gains bonuses to assist, damage, and to defense. Notice that it buffs assist damage specifically. That stacks directly with a Scoundrel setting targets up for the rest of the team. Hawks and a Scoundrel appearing together in most of these lists is not an accident. Number 9 is the point where your early squad stops being the right squad. Partway through the campaign, you recruit Tel-Rea Vokos, the only Jedi Padawan in the game. Most recommended mid-game compositions simply drop whoever held the 4th slot and put her in it. She brings high damage melee and a force push that repositions enemies, that is control and damage in a single body. Her talent compounds it as well. Strong with the Force gives her stacks of harmony at the start of every turn, raising both her lightsaber deflection and her attack damage. So a Jedi who has been standing in a fight a while is getting harder to kill and hitting harder. There is a real cost though, and we flagged it in our companions video. Unique characters lean heavily on the shared advantage pool to fuel their own abilities. So bringing Tel-Rea means your soldier is not firing rocket strikes as often. If a story character is unavailable, the lists slide Hawks into their role and bring Luco Bronk in behind him. Number 10 is genuinely new information. Before launch, we knew the game shipped with 12 specializations and that the studio was hiding one of them. It has now surfaced and it is called Wayseeker. Wayseeker is a second Jedi specialization and it also belongs to Tel-Rea. Push and pull each cost a single action point and drag enemies around the battlefield from range. Remember that shoving something off a ledge is an instant kill regardless of its health. Then there is lightsaber throw. Coverage describes it as clearing 3 or more enemies enemies at once while destroying cover and detonating objects. That is not really a damage ability. That is a squad slot which rewrites the battlefield, and it changes what your other 3 operators need to cover. Number 11 is the option most people leave sitting on the bench. Astromechs are recruitable, and they do not play by the same rules as everybody else. They cannot carry traditional weapons at all, so a droid in your squad is not contributing normal damage. What they bring instead is utility and raw action points. Coordinated support grants every operator in the squad an action point, and it upgrades to 2 later on. Think about what that means in a game built on 3 points a turn. A droid slot is effectively buying your other 3 operators an extra action each. There is a second ability that earns the slot on its own. Enhanced scanners marks enemies across an area and negates their defense completely. Pair that with a sharpshooter and the toughest target on the map simply folds. So the droid is not a 4th attacker at all. It is a multiplier sitting on top of the 3 attackers you already have. Number 12 is the thing that quietly solves the whole 4-slot problem. Later in the campaign, your operators unlock a second specialization. From that point, one character can hold 2 roles at once and combine abilities from both classes. So a squad that needed 4 separate specialists can suddenly cover 6 or 7 jobs with the same 4 bodies. That is why late game compositions look so different from early ones. You stop asking who covers sustain. You start asking which of your existing 4 should pick it up as a second job. Cross-training feeds the same idea, letting operators gain bonuses from outside their own lane as bonds grow. And if you are still missing a role entirely, build a custom operator to fill it. You control their class and their talent so they can be shaped around whatever gap is left. One last thing on that, the personnel screen tracks how many cross-training options each operator has waiting right beside their unspent focus points. If that number is sitting untouched, you are leaving squat coverage on the table. And number 13 is what all of that was building toward. 3 squads you can copy directly. For the early game, run Assault and Soldier and Scout and Sharpshooter. In the compositions going around, that means Cab on Assault and Trick on Soldier. Jay takes the Scout slot and Hawks holds Sharpshooter. Cab refunds action points with Uppercut while Trick throws grenades aggressively. Jay executes weakened enemies and Hawks buffs the squad from range. For the mid-game, you drop the Soldier once Tel-Rea arrives and give her that slot. You keep Assault and Scout and Sharpshooter as your core and you gain a Jedi. For the late game, the same 4 bodies double up once second specializations open. Cab runs Assault with Soldier, and Tel-Rea runs Padawan with Wayseeker. Jay pairs Scout with Gunslinger, and Hawks pairs Sharpshooter with Scoundrel. Same 4 operators and roughly twice the coverage. So that is how I would build it. Engine first and then a multiplier. Damage after that, and let your difficulty settings decide whether the final slot is a medic. Do not get too attached to any of it either, because wounds mean you have to rotate people out anyway. Now, I want to hear from you. Who is in your 4 right now? And has anybody found a composition that beats the Assault and Scout and Sharpshooter core everybody keeps recommending? Let me know down in the comments. We are covering Zero Company right through launch and beyond, so subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.